The European has decided long ago that he wanted to make man in his image and after his likeness. Over 2,000 years ago, the Roman Empire was flying high with authority from conquering and slaughtering everything in their path. Killing in the physical sense could only get you but so far. The labor that needed to be done didn't necessarily want it to be done by the conqueror. So the killing had to stop. Once the killing stopped, the mind control and the manipulation started. Systematic mental slavery had its start long, long ago, when man, European, or any man who wanted to control another man decided mind control would be the best method to achieve the desired goal. 2,000 years later, mind control, manipulation is at the forefront. We have men in my community that does not see the value in defining what makes you a man. And because it has not and will not be addressed, they now wear the dress. And those who do not wear the dress, they have the attitude of one who actually wears the dress. My brothers have been reduced to the servitude of their lower nature. They have been rendered docile, weak. They pose no threat. They will not stand in the face of adversity against an outside threat or enemy, even if it's apparent. They will allow the oppressive system to decide what is acceptable in our community. There is no code of conduct. One can parade their little boy as a little girl. One can dress their little boy in feminine attire. One can even put lipstick, makeup, eyeliner, and all of the things that we, for many years, associated with the feminine expression. Now, I don't want anybody to think that this presentation tonight is an attack on any chosen lifestyle that adults choose. This presentation is about the preservation of my people. My people will not preserve itself, themself, herself, or himself without a code of conduct where we can definitively say that is unacceptable amongst us. This is not a presentation to cause one to bring harm to anyone, to address anyone on a personal level. This is simply to get you back to thinking. There are hidden hands in place that controls who and when these feminine influences are portrayed before the public. And those hidden hands make sure that these images land on the right media fronts. So today we see when there is physical oppression, women in our community are the ones that stand up, screaming through a bullhorn, fighting like a man, ready to take a bullet like a man. And many of them are handpicked and paid to betray their own people as they portray themselves as true freedom fighters.
I be that more you gon' remember. I'ma be that more you gon' remember. I be that more you gon' remember. To Harker Bay front line till the law call my number. I be that more you gon' remember. I'ma be that more you gon' remember, that's right. I be that more you gon' remember. To Harker Bay front line till the law call my number. If you a friend of the Moors, then you a friend of mine. I was told to watch my enemies, now hold my line. Those that speak against the prophet, they speak against me. And I'm speaking about the prophet over Drew Ali, who was the first to remind you and bind you back to Morocco, the mountains, Mississippi, and Quebec. Told you you wasn't black, proved it with straight facts. You tripping off trucks, you need to be tripping off that. Now here we go again, acting like you a slave. Family, see y'all tonight, 9:30. Let's go. I be that more you gon' remember. I'ma be that more you gon' remember. I be that more you gon' remember. To Harker Bay front line till the law call my number.
Peace, family. Peace, family. Welcome to another edition of Moorish World TV. Welcome to another edition of Moorish World TV. I see we got King Kendrick Wilson in the building. Welcome home. I hope that's you and not a fake account. Listen, family. Can you hear me? I want to make sure that you can hear me first before I get started. I didn't want a long intro. I want to get straight to it. And I want to make sure that you can hear me. So let me know if you can hear me. Am I clear? Am I clear? Let me know if you can hear me. So family, welcome to another edition of Moorish World TV, and this is a serious demonstration. This is a serious demonstration due to the simple fact that I've noticed a few things, and I'm taking a chance right now. In other words, I'm taking a chance of being shadow banned. I'm taking a chance to being criticized. I'm taking a chance for people to call me a phobe, for people to call me all sorts of names as it relates to this subject that I'm about to touch on. I talk about the guy Karen or Darren all the time, who is scared to be his homosexual self. And I think everybody should be their true self. And And there is no exception. I think Darren, the guy over there that do Lost Talk radio, he should be his true self. You know, his sister is her true self. And if that's the true self that they have woke up to be, then it's okay. If that's okay with you, if it's all right with you, it's all right with me. And so this presentation is not about trying to browbeat somebody on a lifestyle. This presentation about a social condition that has been going on, or a social conditioning that has been going on. Has anybody ever noticed? And to my sisters, please, I want you to hear with an open ear, and please hear with an open heart. You know what I'm saying? Because many sisters in our community, the moment that we start talking about the disparity as it relates to representing fighting for freedom or something like that, it's like sisters get a little bit beside themselves. And but I want you to know that this has nothing to do with you. This has nothing to do with you personally, but have something to do with the social construct in which we find ourselves in. Let me tell sisters right now, if you out there marching, you know what I'm saying? If you out there marching in the front line and you're married and your man ain't with you, that's a problem. I'll say it again. If you ever marched on the front line and you have a husband, a boyfriend, or a significant other that is suspect and something is wrong with that picture, I'll say it one more time. If you are a woman and if you are in this audience and you went to march on streets for any cause and you are married with a husband and he's not there with you, that is a major problem. I'm talking about a code of conduct in our community. This is what I'm talking about. If your concern is not your husband's concern, or your husband's concern is not your concern, that should be a major concern. So let's be clear. You know, some people are going to get mad in a minute. You feel what I'm saying? Some people are going to get mad at me in a minute. Some people are going to unsubscribe to Morse World TV after tonight, because the truth must be told. The truth must be told. In our community, we're dying at a rate that is crazy. The rate that we are being killed is astronomical. You see what I'm saying? It's crazy. And so the reason why we continue to be slaughtered, the reason why we continue to be killed, is because there is no masculine energy that pose a significant threat or promise that if you were to harm my wife, my child, or myself, there will be a formidable response. And in our community, there is not a significant amount of masculinity that poses that threat. Y'all hear what I say? There's not a significant amount. And in this day that we live in, called social media, most of the tough guy posing is either on social media or it's with our generation 25 and under killing each other. You hear what I say? But when it comes to one who kills us, one who puts their boot on our neck until we can't breathe no more, the same people that will kill each other on those same drug-infested corners will not move an inch to pull a racist police off somebody. They will not gather around and say, you won't touch this person no more. And the reason why is, somebody put in the chat, Mark Anthony, it's the emasculation of manhood that has been perpetrated in our community. And unfortunately, all of us have played a part in this. And I'm going to break this down tonight. All of us have played a part in this in one way, shape, or form. Whether it was passed down to you by your parents, or whether you chose to say it's not that bad. He'll grow out of it. It's just, nothing wrong with that. Oh, it's cute. Look at him. Look at him with my dress on. I mean, that's something what the sister would say. Oh, that's just cute. That's just my shoes. You know, he's just playing. He's just a baby. He don't know. Well, very young in age, we should be defining what it is to be a male and what it is to be a man. Regardless, I'm telling you, I'm going to take a lot of hits for this tonight. Regardless of what society says, there should be a code of conduct that is accepted in everybody home. If you like Dern and you're gay and your house allowed the gay thing to happen like Dern mother accepts, there's no problem. The code of conduct is you can kiss a man in the mouth, at the age of 14. That's their code of conduct. But what I'm speaking about those in our community that want the preservation of a person that look like you, of the preservation that acts and have the culture that you have. You feel what I'm saying? Let me see. I don't think all gay men happen to experience all those things that you stated. Barry, if you are homosexual, it's okay. This is not about you tonight, Barry. If you are gay, it's fine. Just enjoy the show. This is not an attack on gay men. All right? So I only been talking for a few minutes, Barry. So you need to hear my whole presentation before you defend your gayness. I'm not interested in your gayness. I don't care how many times that you allow someone to do things to you that other people may not want done to them. That's not my business. That's not what this show is about. So please, this is not that show. What I'm talking about is the defenders of our community. Our women are disappearing. All right. Our women are disappearing. People are being killed wholesale. You follow me? People are being killed wholesale. And I want to, and the purpose of this presentation is to give my theory. It's only my theory of why we are so docile. You feel me? Why we so docile? Thank you, Barry. Don't take offense to me. I am on a roll. Just check out my presentation and then tell me what you think in the comment section. I'd like to thank Mark Anthony. I've been waiting for someone to speak about this atrocities. Thank you, GS. Absolutely. And I'm telling you, this is not an attack on the homosexual lifestyle. That's not what this is. This is an attack on the supposedly defenders of the community that refuse to defend anything. You holler at me? You hear me? You hear me? That's what this is about. So I want everybody to try to share this at least to 2 of your platforms. Because if I take a risk to talk about this, you wouldn't take a risk with me to share this? Take a risk. This is a conversation that no one wants to talk about. Listen, no one wants to talk about things such as this type of lifestyle that has really dominated our community. No one wants to talk about that. No one wants to take the chance of having their YouTube channel shadow banned. You follow me? No one wants to do that because many people make money off of YouTube, and if they're shadow banned, it won't. But my channel been shadow banned forever. Hey, so I gotta call a spade a spade. So, fam, let's get this started. These things happened long ago, family. When we look at protesting today, one of the things that we see, and it's very unfortunate, we see until freedom, until freedom. Thank you, brother. Thank you, Barry. If I was out of order and wrong, I definitely apologize, brother. But I just didn't want to be distracted. If I was out of order and wrong, brother Barry, I definitely apologize. I just didn't want to be distracted as I get on the road, because you know how I do. I got a bunch of slides that I want to go through, and I don't want to be distracted. So if I was out of order, I do apologize, brother. Thanks for your support over the years. But now what I'm trying to say is that when we look at the response to Breonna Taylor, outside of the fake Grandmaster Jay, when we look at the response to the Breonna Taylor, we've seen Black Lives Matters, and we've seen Until Freedom and other groups that was organized around women. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. I think that's a beautiful thing. But can anybody name a significant group today? And I'm not talking about the NAACP. I'm not talking about the Rainbow Coalition. I'm not talking about all those decrepit organizations from the 80s or the 70s. Can anybody name an organization today that's spearheaded by a brother, a strong brother that gives the image of a family man and a freedom fighter? Anybody? That stood on the front line of all of these popular protests. Anybody? Anybody? And I'm not talking about the fake Grandmaster Jay. That was fake. I'm not talking about people that march and just catch a camera. I'm talking about one who was able to penetrate the crowd and have some influence on what is said on a microphone. Can anybody name one? I mean, somebody may say, don't you talk about the NAACP. The NAACP is a decrepit organization that's been dead a long time ago. NAACP was founded by Jews for the express purpose to maintain the status quo for the controllers of this oppression. So the NAACP is out. You know, and the NAACP has maintained the status quo, for this oppressive system. It is to keep us docile. It's to promise us apples that look sweet to the taste, but to the core, they bitter. The NAACP has never represented us as a people. They never will represent us as a people, because the purse strings are not controlled by them. The purse strings are not controlled by them. They're founded by Europeans for the express purpose for Europeans to rock the cradle, to keep us rocked to sleep. So if anybody is moving with the NAACP, they are truly suspect, because they haven't done their research to find out that the NAACP was founded by Jews and Europeans for the express purpose to keep us rocked to sleep and keep us docile, to give us little breadcrumbs that they drop off the table, and we take those breadcrumbs and think that we're eating. So yeah, so the NAACP, sorry, mate, the NAACP is not even in the running. They are a decrepit organization that never has done us any good. They never done us any good, and they never will. The little crumbs that they give us only look as if that they're doing something. That's it. The NAACP is done. Is done. And anybody move with them, you should reconsider. Now, I asked the question. I say, show me an organization doing the George Floyd, the Freddie Gray, that we can legitimately stand with. None of them has been legit for real. You see what I'm saying? None of them has been legit. But show me one that is legitimate, that's spearheaded by a strong brother representing the strong brother's position. I bet you can't show me one. We have Miss Mallory. We have from Until Freedom. We have, and I'm not saying that they are legit, but hey, she's out front. She was promoted out front. She was pushed out front, and she was out front. You know what I'm saying? So Black Lives Matter, huh? That's spearheaded by sisters. I say one brother. I bet you can't show me one. And y'all don't find that significant or odd that you can't find one brother spearheading a freedom fighting protest? Y'all don't find that odd? Huh? That's really odd. You follow me? That is really odd. And the reason why that is odd, because history records that the men are the true protectors in this society, are true protectors of the women and children. That doesn't mean that women should not fight alongside men, but that means that women should not fight by themselves. When we look at these protests of recent, these women has been promoted. They have been promoted and they have been financed. You know what I'm saying? They have been promoted and they have been financed. And we can tell that they have been promoted and financed when we see Tamika Mallory do a Cadillac commercial. You have to be, you listen, I understand everybody need to eat. I get it. But to be a true freedom fighter, all money ain't good money. And to do all these celebrity things and all that. I mean, do that. I would do it. I wouldn't do the Cadillac commercial, of course. But if somebody invited me or invited you to an award show, you take that chance to spread your message. I get that. I get that. But when you Hollywoodize, which is what has happened to our plight, they look at somebody's dismal situation and they promote a sister, and the sister Hollywoodize the whole endeavor for the sake of reputation and fame. That's where the problem lies. But now, how did we get to this point is the purpose of this demonstration tonight. How did we get to the point where a sister can easily be brought and sold to advertise? I mean, how can the sister be easily sold? And the reason why a sister can be brought and sold at any given moment is because you brothers have not stepped up and taken your place in the affairs of men. Brothers, at this day and time, we must take our place in the affairs of men. You hear what I say? We must take our place. We must take our place. When we look at, shout out to the original people, the D.L. Hughley of the world. Yeah, D.L. Hughley is another one, because his daughter is a homosexual. He feels as though that he got to play the middle of the fence. He tell the truth, and I love him as a comedian. You know what I'm saying? I love him as a comedian, but he likes to play the middle of the road. When it suits him not hurting his daughter's feelings, then he goes towards the gay side. But when Crips say DL is a comedian, no, DL is a political commentator too. He's a political commentator. And this is how they get us. When, and with all due respect, Crip, they will use comedians and we'll say that's just a comedian. However, in the age of social media, he's an influencer. We have to be careful and understand that the influencer is the one that rocks the pendulum. You see what I'm saying? The influencer. The influencer come in all shapes and forms. They come in the form of a comedian. They come in the form of rappers. It's a deadly game that they're playing with our people. You see what I'm saying? It's a really, really deadly game. And so we're going to break it down. But this didn't start overnight, family. When we look at Martin Luther King, many people like to say, well, Martin Luther King had a woman and he had affairs and he had this, that, and the third. But when we look at Martin Luther King, we cannot take away from his track record. And there was many women on the front line with Martin Luther King. In this picture, you see him with preachers and pastors and all of that. But Martin Luther King, regardless of if you agree with his nonviolent stance, it doesn't matter. I mean, it doesn't matter. He was a man who would stand out front. You follow me? He was a man who would stand out front. If you don't agree with Gandhi, because he was racist, and some people say a little bit racist, he got some things done because he stood out front. In the 1930s, under British rule, India was prohibited from collecting, selling salt. and the staple mineral was heavily taxed. In 1930, Gandhi rallied a small band of supporters and set off a 241-mile march across Western India. The goal, to collect salt from the sea in defiance of the British government. Gandhi's salt march inspired hundreds of Indians to flout the salt tax. Gandhi was arrested for his effort, but the Salt March established him as a force to be reckoned with the struggle against British colonizers. The reason why I pull that out is because back in the day, we see how men would step up. And this is not to undermine the women efforts. The men today is not stepping up, and there's a reason why. It is by design. It is by design that men is not stepping up. And this started a long time ago. Even when you look at this this Muslim up there in Tunisia, you know, he was so upset about the situation in Tunisia that in 2011 he actually stepped out front and set himself on fire after they confiscated his scales from his vegetable and fruit stand, vending fruit stand, and that caused one of the greatest changes in Tunisia. So to get President Mubarak to step down. This was you understand what I'm saying? This was the tenacity of a young man in Tunisia to move on principle. We don't have that amongst us like we once had. We don't have that amongst us. We don't have that, and it's by design, is what I'm saying. It's by design. You follow what I'm saying? When you look at the Sikhs of India, when you look at the Sikhs of India, the men would come out. Now, we would talk about, oh, they stink in the cabs or they don't use deodorant, but they are willing to come out and fight for what they believe in. You see, when you look at us today, and I'm talking about those who are descendants from the inhabitants of Africa, those who are descendants from the indigenous lands of the Americas and around the world. When you look at us today, we do not see a group of men standing in defense for our rights nor for our protections. Show me where. Huh? Show me where. Show me where. Show me where there is a sea of men that look like me, look like you, standing in the defense of our rights and the protections of our families. Show me where. I'll wait for it. Anybody got an example for me? Show me where. See, this is the problem. This is the hard truth that no one wants to deal with. Show me where there is a sea of men. Thank you, women, for doing your thing. But right now, and I'm talking to you as well as the brothers. Show me a sea of men. Show me somewhere in America, any protest. Show me. Show me. It don't exist. It don't exist. And if it was shown during the Breonna Taylor situation, I would declare that it was manufactured. I declare that it was manufactured. Do you follow me? So let's move on. When you look at the Sikhs, right? Right here, New Delhi, India. The Sikhs and the Muslim farmers came together. You hear what I say? Came together to protest. You see them men? Those are men. Where is the men? Where are they? Where are the men in our community? Where are they? Are we getting somewhere with this in a minute? We're getting somewhere with this in a minute. The question is, where are the men in our community? Let me show you something. These Sikhs, they were standing side by side. They don't even believe alike. In fact, they normally would fight each other. But because they were being oppressed from the farming industry, by the government, they stood together. Somebody mentioned New Era Detroit. I said, show me a group that has been on the front line that we can go and point out right now. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to New Era Detroit for doing their thing. I said, show me doing the Breonna Taylor. See how they stood up? They stood up. You follow me? But let me tell you what happened. Now we're going to get to the nitty gritty. This happened long time ago. This happened long time ago. All right. Let me show you what happened a long time ago. While we were partying, they were planning. And when I say they, I'm talking about the oppressive system was planning our 100-year annihilation from power or alienation from power. While we were partying and we were coming into a new culture, what we call hip hop, the establishment was planning our 100-year alienation to alienate us from our power. And I'm going to show you how it happened. All we got to do is study history. And they're doing it right now. Listen, the oppressive system is not worried about what you're doing right now. The oppressive system is worried about what you will be doing in the future. Because what you're doing now has already been predicted by what was done yesterday. And you're right on schedule to be doing what you're supposed to be doing. You're doing exactly what you were supposed to be doing at this hour because it was designed like that. And it was designed like that long time ago. And that's what we're going to get into. See, this just didn't start the emasculation of men. See, when we look at Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five, it started even before then. But I'll start with this. See, when we start to go back and do a check, you follow me? When we start to go back and do a check and we start to look at this, we start to really understand that these were men. These were not typical men. You feel what I'm saying? These were men that were emasculated. And back in the day, the emasculation of men would breed what we have today. And even though men may not look like that, and some do, you see what I'm saying? However, the mentality and the attitude that comes with this is why remember the time when Stinky Inky tried to make like he was doxing me, they had a sister named Yuck Yuck Bay. Everybody was following Yuck Yuck Bay. You know what I'm saying? Sarnetta even was emasculated to follow Yuck Yuck Bay. They had nothing original. Yuck Yuck Bay just went to every page. She went to every internet site that she could find. My mama. And all of these people would follow Yuck Yuck Bay, which is a female, a sister, and they would follow her and do and she was like the Pied Piper. And you still got people today, Jack Dizzy, that follow Yuck Yuck Bay today. And anything that this woman says, they do like this. And I say that woman because it's evilness at best, where people would rally around a wicked woman, you know what I'm saying? Or even a woman rally around a wicked man. You see what I'm saying? Like they found out the hard way that Stinky Inky was a wicked man. And so you seen a lot of the sisters that had rallied around him got away. But many of them went and rallied around the orchestrator, the wicked woman. You follow what I'm saying? And even today, even today. And I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. This plays a part in the whole demonstration. Once the woman is put in in opposition of a man, then another man will follow the woman and they will begin to act like this angry woman, and they will do the things that an angry woman does. And this is no shot to my sisters. This is just my theory. My theory is that's when an angry, evil woman is upset and can get men to follow that angry lower vibration, then that man become the life of that evil feminine woman. And that's what Yuck Yuck Bay was able to do. This is why people like big platforms like Sinetta, he would bring her on. Oh, this sister got this, that. All she did was troll people's Facebook account. And I'm gonna show you how that happens, because the emasculation, the emasculation of men back in the day is now produced 50-year-old men, 40-year-old men that are feminine in nature. You follow what I'm saying? They are feminine in nature, and they are feminine in responding to opposition. They are emotional, in other words. You follow me? They're emotional. They're super emotional. But this started a long time ago. This has started a long time ago, family. It started planting the seeds with stuff like this. These are the seeds that was planted in popular music. Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five. This started a long time ago. It didn't start with Sinetta following a low-life sister trying to get some views. It didn't start with that. It started right here with emotionalism. You see, these images, any man that would put on earrings, any man that would straighten their hair, any man that would put on eyeliner, any man that will go to this extent for fame, he done sold his soul. But nobody say nothing. Nobody said nothing. Nobody said nothing to the brother in the yellow. That brother, you shouldn't wear that. Nobody said nothing to the brother on the right. Brother, maybe that's not a good look. Maybe you look like a circus sideshow. Thank you, Candy Chambers. Nobody told this brother that. Nobody checked this brother that. And it's the same thing I say with these little frauds and these little schemers and these little scammers. Nobody tells them about themselves. And so they go on and on and on and on and on. You hear me? Until somebody like me come along. You feel me? Until somebody like me come along and say, man, y'all tripping. Y'all tripping. Until somebody like me come along and say, man, Inky, ain't nobody buying that fake CMOS. Until somebody like me come along and say, man, Sinetta, man, come on, man, you tripping, man. You can't be saying you conscious and calling people mother bees. And you can't be telling people, inviting people to your private parts and saying you conscious. Come on, man. And see, until somebody like me come along, there's a problem. I mean, there is no problem until somebody like me come along. But somebody should have told brothers that, nah, this is unacceptable. This is unacceptable. You see what I'm saying? But nobody did that. But let me tell you what happened. What it did was it set the stage for what we have today. In the rap game, this is not new. Just because you see, you hear what I'm saying? Just because you see today people wearing dresses. Just because you see that today, that doesn't mean that it started today. The emasculation of our brothers started long ago. Because in order to get into the business to sell a record, you had to sell your soul. You had to sell your soul. And that's what many people did. And they're probably not proud of it today. Look at Full Force and Bow-Legged Lou now, man. What grown man would walk around, prance around, and show his handpots to the world as we see Bow-Legged Lou on the left side of the picture? What grown man in his right mind would do this? Well, this was the emasculation. It didn't start today. And so, you know what I mean? Yeah, somebody said the 90s baby will kill, but it didn't start today. You hear what I say? It did not start today. This is a continuation of yesterday. You see, and this is why today women are out there and their husbands are in the house. This is why today women are spearheading and being promoted and given money for organizations and pushed to the forefront. You feel what I'm saying? This is the reason, because the emasculation took place. You see what I'm saying? And they've done a fine job in making men docile. You see, when they was talking about African Bambaataa and that he did something to a few young men, you feel what I'm saying? Anybody could see that when one goes to this extreme, now we know that they're costumes, we know that, but if you go to this extreme for the sake of reputation and fame, there is something else going on, because men who are naturally a provider and naturally a defender don't walk around like this. They don't sell it for anything. Their soul is sacred. No man in our community should be able to walk around without being checked. Brother, that's not cool. Brother, no, we ain't doing that. We don't want your record. No. And this is called a code of conduct that we do not have in our community. You follow me? We don't have it in our community. You know what I'm saying? When you look at Dr. Dre, yeah, people love Dr. Dre, but I'm going to tell you, he was a part of the establishment. You know what I'm saying? He was part of the establishment to emasculate our brothers also, and we cannot get away from it. The only way that you would sell a record back then, you would have to be popular. It would have to get on the radio. And in order to sell it, those people would say, we need you to put this on. We need you to dress like this. We need you to talk like this. And this is how the emasculation starts. This started a long time ago. This just didn't start with when we looking at our brother Young Thug. Man, listen, man, you cannot tell me. I know you love Prince, and everybody like Prince. And I think Prince is one of the greatest talents that we've ever seen. But there is no grown man that ever told Prince that that is unacceptable. You follow me? Now, you can dress how you want. You can do whatever you want. But once you sell the image, now it's your responsibility to tell your friends, to tell your children that that is unacceptable. Or the alternative is that your child grow up confused as to what makes him male, man, and masculine. You was born male, man, and masculine if you have male genitalia. Now, I'm saying you can do and choose whatever you want. That's not my argument. That's not my argument. My argument is, how do we get to the point where somebody can watch George Floyd get choked out and they don't move a muscle? The only way that happens is it's years and years of conditioning. It's years and years of conditioning and emasculation the male species amongst us. That's how that happens. This is why you will have a little boy in the Gaza Strip, right? And they will battle with European Jews. You hear what I say? They will battle with European Jews. The European Jews have rocket launchers. The European Jews have the latest technology and automatic weapons that they got from the United States. And that little boy would have a rock and he would throw it. He would throw it, bang, at the tank. The men would throw it at the front line. The men would stand in the midst of a hail of bullets and throw rocks at the opposing force because they have not been emasculated the last 30 to 40 or 50 years. So they still have the God-given instinct to defend and protect. You feel me? They still got the God-natured instinct. It haven't been covered. It haven't been clouded. They still move on that energy that I'm supposed to provide, defend, and protect against a tank. You hear what I say? Against a tank. That's how they get down. You follow me? So we got to examine what happened to us. We won't even defend and protect against 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We won't even say nothing. We won't even get together and file a lawsuit. You know what I mean? We wait till Ben Crump come. When Ben Crump come, you know what I'm saying? Then it's time to get busy. Everybody around should file a lawsuit. Everybody. I was traumatized seeing George Floyd choked out. Everybody who's seen it should have filed a lawsuit. They don't mean that you got to do physical harm all the time in response. But everybody who's seen it, everybody who's seen George Floyd choked out or have seen an atrocity, you are going to be traumatized. And you should sue for mental anguish at minimum. Everybody. If it was 20 people should be suing. It shouldn't be a class action suit either and let Ben Crump take the case. No, everyone should sue separately. You hear what I say? Everyone should sue separately. This is how you respond, but we don't have a code of conduct. You know what I'm saying? We don't have a code of conduct. Someone said everyone needs to know the process. That's where organization comes in place. We need to be more organized. We are the most unorganized people on the planet Earth. This is why Ben Crump can come in and say, you know what? This is why Ben Crump can come in and say, I represent the family. And then all the rest of the people are shooed away. You follow what I'm saying? This is why that can happen. Now, when you look at Prince and the Revolution, nobody never told them that that was unacceptable. They sold this image. They sold this image in our community. You feel me? They sold this image to our community. And now when you look at them some 30 years later, even the women that was in Prince and the Revolution, now they look masculine. But GS, people don't support the power moves of other black folks, lawsuits and all, they don't respect the fight. Again, May says, but GS, people don't support the power moves of other black folks. We need to stop worrying about other black folks, and we need to organize people who think like us. In a crowd of 100, 2 people think alike, I'm sure. In a crowd of 50, 1 impossible think alike. You follow what I'm saying? So we need to stop. I think, Sister May, we need to stop expecting everyone to move on one accord. Pick out the ones that's on your vibration and move. Everybody ain't gonna move. Many of us are dead sleep. We're sleepwalking anyway. You know what I'm saying? So we need to just move. I mean, we need to just move. You know what I'm saying? And Cryptonomics says, Morse World TV, many people don't know, but Lisa and Wendy were a couple, lesbian. Prince sold that knowingly. It was a sin. It was in a documentary by one of the founding members. So these things were sold to our people. And all of these things is what makes us docile. These things make us docile. All of this is it's building blocks to not responding to oppression. Listen to me. This is not about browbeating anybody's sexual preference. This is about how systematically we have become docile, how we have become docile systematically. When you look at our young brothers, our rappers today, look at this. When we look at our young rappers today, this is what we getting today. This is what we getting today. Lil B. Lil B had the nerve to go on a Saturday Night Live. Come on now. Come on. This is the most popular sketch comedy show forever. And these are the images that go around the world. You hear what I said? And if he have homeboys and his homeboys did not tell him that that was unacceptable, then they just as guilty. They are just as guilty. Now, what I'm telling you, all of this plays a part in responding to oppression. You hear what I say? Because little boys are able to see this. And now they see what they could be with no boundaries and no regard for what is acceptable. See, we got to stop acting like we are in some melting pot that anything goes. That melting pot where anything goes is not in favor of us. When we walk into and play the game of the melting pot, we are the ones that suffer the most. Again, we don't respond to oppression where we would naturally respond. Like somebody killing your brother, somebody's killing your brother, and you just sit there and say, stop choking them. Don't do it. This start from a young age. This start from a very young age. Children now are watching the internet and they seeing this culture where anything goes. And so they are being, by default, taught that I can be this, I can be that. And this is how this responds to that, and this is how that responds to this. When you understand the roles, you know what I'm saying? When you understand the roles that man and woman play in society, then you will be more adamant about defining who's who. You follow me? When this is going to get a lot of people mad. I already know it's going to get a lot of people mad, but it's okay. I'm going to take a chance with this one. I'm going to take a chance with this one because we're not responding properly. You know what I'm saying? And as you can see, Little B is playing up to the crowd. He's playing up to the crowd that is going to get him out of poverty. He's playing up to the crowd. And now these images are what our children are receiving. And so when it's come time to fight oppression, those images of party, of dresses, of chilling, it's all good. Those images become their response, meaning it ain't my business, that's them. And this is by design. This is by design. When you see Young Thug, who recently just got locked up, there is no way that Young Thug should have been around all of those brothers in $1 million worth of game, and them brothers ain't checked Young Thug. Maybe they did, I don't know. But there's no way humanly possible somebody should have checked Young Thug so he would know how he's influencing the generations to come. Because the popular rapper is God to the youth today. The most popular rapper is God to the youth. If you was listening to rap when Biggie was out, you was either a Biggie or Pac fan. You was either a Biggie or Pac fan. And so the popular rapper is God today to the youth. You follow me? When you look at Little Thug album cover, this album and Jaden was some of the most largely seen images on the internet. You know what I'm saying? May say this is sick fashion. No, this is homosexuality being perpetrated in our community to try to persuade this docile personality or anything goes. That's what this is. That's what this is. This is not fashion. This is not fashion, and we should not call it fashion. Has nothing to do with fashion. This has nothing to do with fashion. This is imagery that will enter into the mind of young brothers and allow them to be less formidable to oppression. And I agree with that. May say they hide it behind fashion. Yeah, but we know better. This is not fashion at all. This is someone writing the check. I mean, someone is writing the check. So the imagery can penetrate the soul of those that could be a formidable opposition to the oppression. See, let me tell you something. Do anybody know how anybody know how old Fred Hampton was when he got killed? Anybody know? I always ask this question, but I'm gonna ask again. Anybody know how old Fred Hampton was when he got killed? Anybody know? Somebody put it in the chat. If you know how old Fred Hampton was, then you would understand why they are trying to influence the younger generation into being docile. Did anybody ever hear Fred Hampton talk? Fred Hampton talked. Fred Hampton talked like he had been around for 50 years. You follow me? Fred Hampton talked like he had been around for 50 years. His command of the English language, his command of the situation as it relates to being a revolutionary, his command as it relates to the response to oppression. You hear what I say? It was so profound that they know that they must confuse the young generation early, and they must confuse them with money. So they take the money and they will wear anything. Now, when you look at a person like Jaden family already have money. So now he just want fame. There's two elements in our community that will give people a leverage. Many of us were not born with a silver spoon. And so a lot of us, we desire to have life just a little bit easier. And so money is always one of the things. You follow me? Money is always one of the things that the oppressor will use as a bargaining chip to get you to do things that you wouldn't normally do. But for the state of getting out of oppression, you might try it. And that just shows, you know what I mean? By history just proves that. You know what I'm saying? And now the next thing is ego, fame. When you look at a person like Jaden, his father fame surpasses many people fame in Hollywood. And that is those that look like us and those that don't. However, his son obviously wants some limelight too. And so he would take what he can to bring attention to himself for some limelight also. And that's ego, fame. So two things that the oppressor will work on. They will work on your poverty, if you would call it the poverty effect, whereas though the money will get you to do things that you wouldn't normally do, or they'll work on your ego, where it can help you to fulfill that hunger to be in the limelight. And as we can see, people go for it. You follow me? Um, but the thing about Young Thug, which surprises me, is that all of these killers, all of these gangster rappers, all of these brothers that was in his circle that many of us look up to, listen to, or admired as a rap talent, they continue to move with him after that stunt that has showed the world a false representation of our men and shown the youth that this is okay. And they still see him and everybody around him should have been checked intellectually. Everybody around him should have been checked intellectually. But again, we don't have elders no more. You feel what I'm saying? We don't have anybody that wants to tell the truth anymore. You feel me? We don't have people that have backbone and say, man, you tripping, man. Man, I ain't rocking with that. You tripping. We don't have that. But we need to get back to that. Because without that, if we won't tell ourselves that we tripping, there's no way that we're going to tell that oppressor with his boot on our neck that he's tripping. You hear what I say? If we can't tell ourselves, one another, that we are tripping, there's no way that we are going to tell the oppressor that we are tripping. It's just a facade. It's just fake. So if I'm telling you that, man, Grandmaster Jay is a scammer, Grandmaster Jay is a fraud, Grandmaster Jay is working for Trump, and I'm going to show you when Trump starts running again, he is going to be back on the forefront talking the same stuff, but he might just change it up just a little bit. I can check him. But I will also check the European that comes sideways. If you can't check yourself, you can't check nobody. You can't check nobody. If you look at what's his name? Malik Zulu Shabazz. Out of 30 years, he got nothing to prove for him yelling Black Power. He don't have the right to call no European no cracker. He don't have the right to call no European no pig. He don't have the right to call no European no oppressor. If he been doing this, him and Big Shirley, for 30 years and got nothing to show for it, they haven't checked themselves. They haven't checked themselves. So they don't have the right to check anybody. They haven't done their own checks and balances. They ain't look what they accomplished. They ain't look at their failures. They ain't look at their accomplishment. They just grabbing a bullhorn yelling, frauds, fakes. Frauds, fakes. So they don't get the right to come into the community and address the oppressor. Because that addressing the oppressor is in question. You hear what I say? It's in question. Because you have yet to address yourself. See, when we get to that state, again, man, we can get some things moving. But let me tell you. Somebody say, get the heck on code, Melon Nation. The thing is, Sunshine CEO, nobody knows what the code is. What is the code? See, we need to sit down for real. You know what I mean? We need to sit down for real and put together a real community and have people be members of this community where we can influence the community at large with the code that we establish. Because getting on code don't mean everything to everybody. We need a real checks and balances. That's why I'm a member of the Moorish Science Temple of America, because we got real checks and balances. You know what I'm saying? We got real checks and balances. A lot of these fake fraud Moors would not join no organization. You feel me? These fake fraud Moors wouldn't join no organization because they don't want to have a check, nor do they want to have a balance. They don't want to do that. What they did last year, what they did this year, what you doing? You ain't doing nothing, step aside. Get out of here. See, that's how it's supposed to be. So we need a real organization with real checks and balances. And so when we look at somebody with 20 years with ain't done nothing like a Malik Zulu Shabazz, brother, I'm sorry, we're going to have to let you go. I'm sorry, but we're going to have to let you go. Today is your last day. Don't worry about your locker. Everything in your locker is here. We got to let you go. You feel me? We got to let you go today. Big Shirley, we got to let you go today. Yeah. It's been long enough. You haven't done anything. We have to let you go today, Big Shirley. And now, the whole point of the show, though, the whole point of this show is to show how years, how years of emasculation has turned into no brothers on the front line. None. You hear what I say? None. Look at this. Look at that. Look at this. This is the imagery that they have for men in our community. And they plastered this imagery all on the internet. And they do it for the express purpose. See, you might think that this is just Hollywood. You might think that this is just fashion. But this is an image. This is an image that young, impressionable minds that are scrolling through their iPhones that you pay for, that is scrolling through their Google phone or whatever, and they are being impressioned. And when they being impressioned upon, they will not respond to oppression properly. Do you hear what I say? They will not respond to oppression. These images are all on the internet. You cannot escape it. You cannot escape it. You follow me? Look at this. Look at this. Jordan Clarkson, Russell Westbrook, Kid Cudi. These images, these are the people that are given the big contracts, the big record deals. They want to try to say, oh, we wore dresses in Egypt and oh, no. The men can wear dresses now. Okay. Have it. Have it. If you want to rationalize the feminization of men, then know that you will not have no men fighting on the front line. Just know, listen, if you want to rationalize it, if you want to rationalize it, know that you will not have any men defending women, defending children. You're going to have women coming out of their houses, screaming in a bullhorn, getting choked out by funky, dirty, hillbilly Europeans at a Trump rally. That's what you're going to have. You're going to have Europeans that notice these sisters and they're going to put some money in their pocket, and they're going to promote them, and they're going to Hollywoodize the struggle. They're going to Hollywoodize the struggle, and you're going to be enslaved for 100 more years. You're going to be enslaved for 100 more years. You know what I'm saying? May say they shouldn't go to a Trump rally. Well, sis, it was one sister walking home from a Trump rally and got caught up. She was walking home, not from a Trump rally. She was walking home from work. And a Trump rally was happening. And they pulled her hair and was spitting on her. The Trump rally was through downtown where she was going. So what the point that I'm making is, ain't nobody safe. Ain't nobody safe. Because the men no longer protects. Women are going out there without their husbands. Women are going out there without boyfriends. Women are going out there hooping, hollering, and screaming as if they are a physical equal as it relates to physical combat. Allah, the God of the universe, did not design a woman to be the physical equal as it relates to physical combat as a man. That's just not how God did it. The way that it works is that I will go to battle, and when I get injured, you can heal me because you're closer to God than I could ever be. So if I go to battle, you're raising the next soldier if it's a boy. You're raising the next healer if it's a girl. That doesn't mean that the sister cannot fight on the front line. No. But everyone needs to play a role in order to be successful. This is how God Allah designed it. This is how God designed it. If I go out to battle, who is there to nurse my womb? Should I stay home so when she come back, I nurse her womb? Or if the baby is there, give the baby some Similac that don't exist no more? No. What we're talking about is the survival of a nation. In order to survive through this type of situation, everyone must play the role that is designed by nature. This is not to put a woman on a lower totem pole or the lower scale. Everyone must play the role. We are in war whether you like it or know it or not. This is a unique type of war, though. This is mental warfare. That if mental warfare don't work, then the physical war will follow. Before the United States conquered Iraq, they had already conquered it from the inside. So the European has already conquered the minds of many of our people from the inside. The physical war is easy now. It's easy now. And we see this on the internet all the time. We look at Kevin Samuels, who transitioned, and we see how the sisters, they attacked Kevin Samuels over an opinion. They even lost their humanity by attacking him in death. Now that's crazy. That's crazy. They would say things. They would post things. They lost their own humanity just to vent on him in death. These are some sick sisters, I'm telling you. I'm telling you. And if you were one of them, you should search your soul. You should clean your soul up. Because what he eat don't make you poop. What he eat don't make you poop. You literally went straight down to the mud that you despise. You became the devil that you despise. How do you despise one and then you come and turn right into that one? You hear what I say? And that's what many sisters did with Kevin Samuels. They despise Kevin Samuels for his blatant honesty according to how he understood life. But they turned around and they turned into the monster that they say that they didn't like. You feel what I'm saying? Like May. May say he was a demon. And you're a demon if you see the demon. You see, the only way you can call someone a demon, you have to understand and identify the demon in yourself. Because without seeing the demon in yourself, you cannot identify what a demon is in someone else. So the question is, have you dealt with the demon in you? You see, before you can, let me tell you, this is how this works. Before you can classify one a demon, you have to understand how you define a demon. The demon is not what you see without, the demon is dwelling within. And in order for you to decipher one that's a demon, you first have to identify the demon within you. And if you don't identify the demon within you and you call someone a demon, it's unjust. So have you dealt with the demon in you yet? That's the question. You know what I mean? That's the question. And see, we got to get out of that. We got to get out of that. You know, she said that logic is flawed. What I'm saying is this. She said that logic is flawed. What I'm saying is this. What helps you identify a demon? Let me break this down in simple terms. Family, I'm about to give you some real alchemy of the mind. Family, everything that you see without is nothing without. Your eyes bring everything without within. You hear what I say? Your eyes bring everything you see that you think is out, brings it in. And it gives you a reflection in your mind. In order for you to comprehend it, you have to have it within yourself to identify it, to make the connection. If you cannot identify it in order to make the connection, you will not accept it as what you call it to be. Do you understand what I'm saying? You can only identify that which you know. Because you know a demon, you can identify a demon. You see, in Morris science, it's taught when I look into the eyes of man, I see the image of Allah. I see the image of God. So regardless of the illusions that man casts, when I see man, I see good, and he's acting outside of his nature, which is naturally good. He's just acting outside of his nature. And so this is how we have to begin to see one another. When we see a demon, guess what? When we see a demon, we want to do evil and vile things to a demon. When we see a demon, we want to destroy and annihilate demons. But when we see a person as a reflection of God, we want to try to bring them back to their God state of mind. That's Morris science. We hope that either we or one day that they will return to their God state of mind. That's Morris science. That's Morris science. Because when you determine that one is a demon, there is no God state of mind. There is no God state of mind. So I could care less. I could care less what Kevin Samuel say. I could care less how many presentations he did. He will never dictate how I feel about my brother or my sister. I could care less how much a past relationship has done me wrong. I could care less how many faults and mistakes I made in the past. It will not define me. Because a man want to move in a certain space, it will not define how I see him from the most purest point. And if I don't agree, I just flee. If I can't get along, I just move on. Why should I spend time in the lower nature examining the devil? Why should I spend time? If I see a man as the devil, why should I spend time examining that? When my time is short, I need to spend time on how to examine to get people to turn around and recognize them God's self. When I call out them frauds, do you ever hear me say, I don't hate you, I just disagree with you? I've never called none of them a demon. I've never called none of them the devil. I say Sinetta is evil because he set things in motion. But what I'm saying, we're not going to spend a whole bunch of time with that. And if you spend a whole bunch of time with that, that means that the time with your children, your time with your family, like, but anyway, I'll let y'all deal with that one. My thing is, the brother had an opinion. You know what I'm saying? The brother had an opinion. And we call that opinion evil. You don't have to agree with the opinion. Keep it moving. But if you see evil, you know that old saying, see evil, hear no evil? Only the pure in heart can see the king. Ever heard that saying before? Only the pure in heart can see the king. You know what that means? It says this in Morris Science. This is why I love Morris Science so much. Morris Science says, the pure in heart will love and not demand love in return. Y'all hear what I say? This is taught by Prophet Noble Ali. The pure in heart will love and not demand love in return. It's okay to critique. It's okay to say whatever you want as it relates to one expressing their opinion. But when you become emotionally attached to a man's or woman's opinion, and now it defines you of how you see a man or woman, you've gone too far. You've gone too far. Stay pure in heart. Keep your heart pure with love. That don't mean you have to accept any people rhetoric or foolishness that they put out. You can still check it. But that's a deep emotionally attachment to an opinion when you say that man is a demon. Good goodness gracious. That's a Christian thought. That's a Christian thought. That one can be a demon. That's a European thought. That's a European state of mind. Where one can be a demon. Can he really be a demon? Or is that a character that he's been displaying? That's a European. The European is chilling on the couch. That's a European state of mind. You know, it's a European state of mind. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. We need to get out that European state of mind. We need to get out the European state of mind. This is what this is always about. My show is all about calling things out that is not of our state of mind. Our state of mind is divine. Our state of mind is divine. So let's move on. Shout out to my sister May. Let's move on. Our state of mind is divine. When you look at, and I'm about to copy this real quick, family, because the emasculation, see, let me say this about Kevin Samuels before I go. There was not a brother. Again, I've told you that I'm not a fan of the show. I'm not a fan of the show. I'm going to say it again. I'm not a fan of Kevin Samuels' show. She said, we call out GMJ. I never called GMJ the devil. I never called him what you call a demon. This is different. This is different. Again, I'm not a fan of Kevin Samuels' show. You hear what I say? I'm not a fan of Kevin Samuel's show. I'm going to say it again. I'm not a fan of Mr. Samuel's show. However, find another man that told him his truth. Find another man that told his truth on his own terms on the internet in the last 5 years like Kevin Samuels. Find a man on the internet that told his own truth the way he was able to tell it like Samuels. That was his truth. Some people don't like my truth. Some people going to hate my truth. But I'm not going to spend a whole bunch of time on that. See, that's another thing. The intellectual emasculating of men. We want to be heard, but we don't want other people to be heard if we disagree. Let me say it again. We want to be heard, but we don't want others to be heard if we disagree. That was the reason why people attacked my family. This is why people dig up my record. This is why people do all the things they do, because they don't want me to be heard. They think that's going to stop me. See, when you're really free in the spirit, what he eat don't make you poop. When you're really free in the spirit, you can be critical, but not vile. You feel what I'm saying? You can be critical, but not vile. But that's the same thing. The reason why I'm so adamant about that brother being able to speak his truth, because many people attack me for speaking my truth against those who want to try to swindle and scam our community, as opposed to just proving them wrong. Why don't someone grab all of Kevin Samuel posts that he said and prove him wrong? Wouldn't that be easier? Wouldn't that be easier? Start a channel. It would be big. Your channel will be big, proving Kevin Samuels wrong. Proving Kevin Samuels wrong. And you go out into public and you show that what he was talking was a lie. Do you see what I'm saying? This is angry here. Y'all worship a man who couldn't actually keep a woman. I just said I'm not a fan of the show. I just said I'm not a fan of the show. I'm just saying that in this world, who cares? Turn the channel. Turn the channel. Why do everybody don't like Moorish World TV, but they keep on watching? Why do everybody talk about Tahaka Bay, but they keep on watching and taking clips? Why? If you don't like it, turn the channel. Solomon Harris said Kevin was a god. Man, but let me get off of that because I want to make my point. At the end of the day, men in our community has been silenced. Y'all hear what I say? Men in our community has been silenced at the end of the day. You hear what I say? Whether you like it or not, systematically, men in our community voice is a whisper right now. Somebody say silenced by who? I'm going to show you in a minute. You say silenced by who? This is how the men in our community has been silenced. Watch this. I'm glad you asked. Watch this. When you look at in 2020, I'm about to break it down to you how we have been silenced. When you look at, watch this. Watch this. When it comes to fighting oppression, when it comes to having a voice of how we deal with the attacks on our people, this is a USA Today report. You hear what I say? And I'm going to stop right here and I'm going to put this link in there. I want you to check it out. Listen to this report. From Esmeralda Simmons to Laverne Cox, here are the 19th most influential civil rights leaders of today. Now, when you think of civil rights leaders, right, the first thing that used to come to mind is someone who is fighting for those who are descendants from the inhabitants of Africa. That's normally what we thought civil rights was all about. Now, when we look at civil rights today, that has been hijacked, and we'll begin to see that the emasculating of men in our community do not have a voice. Now, watch this. According to USA Today, you hear me? According to USA Today, we're going to go down and we're going to lay it out. You got Esmeralda, number one. You have Melanie Campbell, number two. Remember, we talk about civil rights leader. James Rucker, a brother. Latifah Simone, 3. Sarah Burton, 4. Erica Andola, 5. Kimberly Crenshaw, 6. Naeed Awad, that's a Muslim. Chad Griffin. Sierra Taylor, 7. Jeanette Alize, 8. Opal, Black Lives Matter, to meeting, whatever. Patrice Coyers. Michelle Alexander. You see my point I'm getting to? You see the point I'm getting to? The point I'm getting to is that the woman is promoted in the community as the community leader because the man has been emasculated. He has been emasculated. Alicia Garza. Then we got Van Jones. That's 2 brothers. Then we got Tarana Burke. Byron Stevenson, 3. And then Laverne Cox. Okay, Laverne Cox. Stop there. This is what I mean by being silenced. The women are promoted in these positions because the man is emasculated and he refused to step up. And whether you agree with Black Lives Matters or not, they are getting to the bag and they are getting promoted when in fact, where is the men? The world will never respect 2 things about a nation: a raggedy sister and a no backbone brother. This is why we get treated the way we do. Because this is why. No one respects a raggedy sister and a no backbone brother. And most of the sisters that's on the front line are paid to be on the front line. Most of the brothers, just like Grandmaster Jay, say that we getting paid. Shh. So we can cry about Captain Samuels. That ain't the argument that I'm talking about today. What I'm talking about here today is that you're going to love slavery for the next 100 years as long as I ain't going to stand on the back line. I'm going out there and make something happen. But it's going to take more than me. It's going to take more than me. As long as it's these emotional conversations about a YouTube celebrity, as long as these emotional conversations about the male and female and guess what? We're gonna be arguing about male and female roles when we already know what they are. We're gonna be arguing about internet commentary when we already know what it is. We already know what it is. It's internet. It's entertainment, most of it. People trying to eat, people trying to get the bag. But in going to eat and trying to get the bag, everybody else is distracted. Everybody else is distracted. And the meter is not even moving. The meter is not even moving. The oppressor is not thinking about you. You are not a threat to this system, and you haven't been a threat. You haven't been a threat in the last 50 years. We worried about the wrong things. We worried about the wrong things. If you really want something to pop, go to the hood and get them young boys to turn around. Get them D boys to turn around. They got the heart that's needed. They got the heart that's needed. If you want something, go out there. Sitting up there getting a bullhorn, yelling in the camera for the news to see, that ain't getting nobody nowhere. It never did and never will. Never did and never will. If you want to get something done, get some numbers. Get some numbers. Martin Luther King, he rallied all the churches. Get some numbers. But a few 5 or 6 people yelling at a camera for social media or the local news or one of these ragtag news sources, man, that ain't nothing. That ain't doing nothing. That's just play school. This is playing around. And you'll be waiting for the next brother to get shot in his head. Because I'm going to tell you, they definitely playing for keeps. You know what I'm saying? They definitely playing for keeps. And this is why the making boys, feminizing the boys is very important for this oppression to go on. You follow me? Again, Esmeralda Simmons. Look, these are all sisters. They are supposedly the leaders. You know what I'm saying? Susan Burton. These are the leaders. This is Naheed Awad. He's a civil rights leader. Naheed Awad, who leads the Council of American Islamic Relations. He's a civil rights leader. Can you imagine the civil rights leaders in the 60s? This is a guy who is a civil rights leader. You see that? I'm not saying that he's not. I'm saying he's acknowledged as a civil rights leader. You mean tell me, huh? You take a good look at this? You take a good look at this? Come on now. What I'm saying is, this is a civil rights leader in the LGBT community. Huh? This is what is saying one of the top civil rights leaders by USA Today. You hear what I said? Do we really got time to be cross-examining a social engineered conversation of a man's opinion? We really do. We really got that type of time. I just showed you a bunch of sisters, one who represents the Arabs and one who represents the LGBT. Where is the one that represents the man that I knew in my neighborhood? Where is it? Where is it? Anybody grew up with a real man in their household or in their neighborhood? Anybody? Anybody grew up with a real man that went to work every day, might drink a pint of liquor and cuss everybody out in the neighborhood, might worked on his car, had some hard knuckles? Anybody grew up with a man in the house where when he pointed his finger, you went up the steps? Anybody? Anybody know what a man is anymore? Anybody know what a man is when he raised his voice? That was it. Anybody know what that is? See, we want to blur the lines now. We allow Europeans to blur the lines of what a man is. You see what I'm saying? And when we allow people to blur the lines what a man is, then this making young men feminine becomes easy. Because we don't define what a man is. And we should never, you know what I'm saying? We should never let somebody tell us that a man can do things that's unacceptable for the masculine trait in our community. We should never. And women should not feel second class because a man has to be a man. You should never feel some type of way. I'm going to tell you, in my perception, when you see a man, if you less than that, you step aside. When you see a man and you know what a man look like, you acknowledge that's a man. So a sister is not scared to acknowledge that's a man. A weakling is not scared. He or she is terrified when a man steps in the room. And that's vice versa for a woman. When a real woman steps in the room, a weak man is terrified. When a real woman steps in the room, a real man has the utmost respect and get out the way. But when a chatty patty, a know-it-all talker, a gun bumper, know everything but his or her own ignorance, nobody really respect you. Nobody really respect you. Before the brother talk, you talk. And if the sister in control of the situation, before the sister talk, he talk. No order whatsoever. No order whatsoever. Nobody respects you. All up in the video. Nobody respects you. You're being used as a tool to emasculate by the way of media. I respect you. But that works both ways. Don't never think that it worked one way. Because a real woman walks into a room, a coward moves out the way. A real man honors the presence. We need to bring real men back. I'm rough around the edges. I'm old school. I'm rough around the edges. My wife be telling me, boy, Taka, did you wash your hands? I be like, yeah. That don't make me a man. I just do. I mean, that don't make me a man. I'm just saying, you know, men do goofy stuff. You know what I'm saying? I mean, come right in the house from in the backyard, feeding the dogs, picking up trash in the yard. Man, I'm hungry. You wash your hands? Yep. But I grew up where men and my father who raised me and my grandfather, they would work on a car and my mother would bring them a sandwich and they be out there like, oh, hand me the sandwich. I hand them the sandwich underneath the car with oil on their hand. They bite that demonstration. Huh? I'm like, that's just what men do. Goodness gracious. They'll bite that demonstration. You know what I mean? So, not saying that makes you a man. What I'm saying is there's a certain rough around the edges and a carelessness as it relates to just head up in the clouds sometime that men have. These real rough around the edges type men. Them type men that'll reach out and choke you. You know what I'm saying? Come here, boy. Now, what I tell you, don't you go in the damn school acting no fool tomorrow. You hear what I say? All right. Now, tell your brother, come here. And that was it. That's the type of stuff I'm talking about. That's the type of stuff I'm talking about. We need masculine men to deal with this oppression. You feel what I'm saying? We need masculine men to deal with this oppression is the purpose of what I'm talking about. And if we don't have masculine men to deal with this oppression, the oppression will go on. And so we have to define what's acceptable in our community. You know, some things are just not acceptable, and we should condemn them immediately. We should condemn them on sight. You feel what I said? We should condemn them on sight. You know what I mean? When we see things in our community, such as things like this, we should condemn them on sight and don't care what nobody say. We should condemn them on sight. You hear what I say? We should condemn it on sight because this is the influence. This is the influence that will ultimately turn into the adults. And then we have no defense. We have no defense. The physical fighters, in our community will continue to be docile. You follow what I say? They will continue to be docile. And when they continue to be docile, you know what I'm saying? When they continue to be docile, they set the stage. They set the stage for Tamika Mallory to step up and Hollywoodize our freedom fight. And my son, the general, that's my guy. Love me some my son, the general. But he's made more money with Intel Freedom than he ever made selling a record. And I bet you that's facts. That's not to condemn my son. What I'm saying is he has made, and I'm sure He has made more money fighting for freedom than he ever made selling a record. You hear me? It's more profitable. It's more profitable to follow one that is promoted and pushed. Do you think they all got on Adidas just because? Answer me. Do you think they all have on Adidas because they all like Adidas? This is what I mean. There is no man to step up and say, no, we're not having this. Let's get into the fight. Let's get into the fight. Somebody say Run DMC and Crip say My Adidas. You know when they came out with that song, My Adidas, I thought Run DMC really liked Adidas. I would find out that Run DMC had $1 million endorsement with Adidas. $1 million. They was one of the first groups with $1 million endorsement. You hear me? Adidas been infiltrated. I thought Run DMC loved Adidas. They was endorsed by Adidas. Our freedom fight has been endorsed by labels. Selling labels on the front line is the call of today. There is no until freedom, because ain't none coming. Ain't none coming. You cannot take a check from the corporate sponsor if you're going to fight, because you cannot say things unless Adidas don't mind. You getting rugged, ratchet, and raw. Sunshine said, I thought it was their sneaker. You understand what I'm saying? Like, we need to wake up. But the men will never step up. And now she makes the cover of Vogue. You see? She makes the cover of Vogue. She makes the cover of Vogue, and she becomes the face of what freedom fighting looking like. Because the men, the aggressive men that is the threat, the aggressive men that look strong, the aggressive men that look like they can hold it down, the aggressive men that look like they'll break you in two, they are wearing dresses. That's my argument. That's my argument. And they pushing it hard. They are wearing dresses. This is how they can push a sister out front, absent of a man. Because the man represents the true threat to the system. See, not only can the man fight as the sister do from an intellectual perspective, but the man can also fight from a physical perspective if it need be. A real man. You hear what I say? You hear what I say? So we need true sisters, freedom fighters. We need that. But we also need the male dynamic. We also need the male dynamic up front and personal, who can fight from an intellectual level, from a political level, from an economic level, and able to fight from a physical level if necessary. That's the purpose of a man, because he's physically designed for physical combat. He's physically designed like that. And anytime that he is made to be soft, made to be sweet, made to be docile, that's another 100 years for us to be under the on hand of oppression of the pale-skinned nation of Europe. You hear what I say? You hear what I say? And this is the reason why I address those scammers. This is the reason why I address those frauds. Because while we are frauding one another, while we are scamming one another, you got another brother that's about to get shot tonight. You got another sister that is about to be sex trafficked tonight. You got that group they call the Sisters of the Underground. How in the world women are going to go up against a male sex trafficker? I'm not saying they can't, but wouldn't that be better if you got a physical strong man to choke out this sex trafficker when they grab him? It just makes sense to me. I wouldn't want my daughter physically fighting a sex trafficker. I wouldn't want my mother, my sister physically fighting a sex trafficker who's a man. I will have my son, myself, to physically address the sex trafficker. See, we got things all mixed up. We got things all mixed up. Either people are frauding, perpetrating a fraud, or we are all mixed up and messed up, and we done. We done. The group called the Sisters of the Underground. You mean tell me that they going to take some women from a man who has manipulated and tricked them and fooled them to sell their body? And some woman is going to approach this man? I ain't saying it's impossible. I'm just saying that's not the logical thing to do. That's just not the logical, reasonable thing to do. That's just not logical. The logical thing to do is for your little brother to take care of that. That's the logical thing to do. You follow me? I know people gonna get mad at me, man. They pose to. They pose to get mad at me. That's what this is all about. You know what I'm saying? That's what it's all about. This is all about you getting mad at me so we can begin to do something and change something. You know what I'm saying? Because this is what the Associated Press is putting out about little boys in our community now. You see that? That's what they're doing. These are what the images on the news that's now going around. You see? Like, you don't get to Wade without getting to this first. You hear me? You get to this first. And nobody is addressing it. That's why I say, you know, if I'm talking about it, you know what I mean? You can at least share it. You can at least share it. Because this is where it's going to. And this is the influence that is going to be on our brothers and sisters for the next 20 years if we don't change it. You see this? That's it. That's it. This is what they're going to give you. This is what they're going to give you. You hear what I say? This is what they're going to give you. Man, we better step up. We better step up. And now look into the background. Look who it's catering to. Look in the background. Look who it's catering to. The fetish of Europeans. Look who it's catering to. Where the men at? Where the men? That's what this is all about. Where are the men? Where are the men on the front line? Guess what? They won't be on the front line. And the reason why they won't be on the front line is because they either emasculated and they show it, or they're mentally emasculated and they have mustaches and beards, but they sweet as sugar. I'm saying it. I'm calling it what it is. I'm calling it what it is. And until we wake up, we will never be able to get oppression off our neck. We will never able to get oppression off our neck. Not with this. Oppression ain't going nowhere with this. You know what I'm saying? Because these images are dominant right now in every industry. This is crazy. And no one wants to talk about it. But I'm going to tell you, this is all connected. This is all connected to our oppression. As I said in the beginning of this presentation, men was always the one who stood up on the front line. We don't see none today. We don't see none today. We see Black Lives Matter. We don't see none today. We don't see no real freedom fighting movements today. We don't see that. And show me some real men freedom fighters today. Anywhere. You know what I'm saying? Show me. Let me show you this real quick. This is so crazy, right? Of how they try to use women, right? Look at that. So this video here of how they promote women, to sit you emasculated men in the back or keep you in the back. They have this lady climbing up this flag, right? This lady is climbing up this flagpole before the police to take down the flag. Not a man. This lady is doing this. Now, many people might say, well, come on, Tahaka Bay. It's USA Today now. Now, come on, Tahaka Bay. What that got to do with anything? Because every angle, they promote the woman and they put the man under the rock. You feel what I'm saying? This is a turn up. They're promoting women so the men can continue to be emasculated. Now, here is the caveat to that. Look at this. They telling her to come down. You follow me? Watch it. So they promote the woman as the man that watches this continue to become emasculated. Because the one who's viewing this, oh, that's a woman. That's a woman. Ain't nothing wrong with that. No. But now here we go. Here we go. This is the caveat to that. The same way they put the flag up there with a string, why didn't she just use the string to pull it down? No one climbed up there to put the flag up there. This is how you know that it's a circus and a horse and pony show. It's a circus and a horse and pony show. No one climbed up there to put the Confederate flag up there. It's a string and a pulley that puts it up there. Why all the theatrics? Why? I told you it's to highlight women, you know what I'm saying? And continue for the viewer to become mentally emasculated. This is not a strike against women at all. Women are some of our greatest assets when it comes to fighting. But this is propaganda at its best. No one climbed up there with a rope climbing gear as they was climbing up a mountain. Nobody climbed up there to put that up there. This is all for show. And it's a part of the mental preparation to keep us docile as men. You feel what I'm saying? See what I'm saying? No one ever climbed up there Anybody ever was in school and took a flag down? You know, you don't have to climb up there. You get the string. And if you cut the string, it's just going to fall away. If you untie the string on the hook, it's going to fly away. So this is the point that I'm making. As long as we allow the images of our brothers to become feminine, docile, and weak, the opposition is going to promote and push the women to the front at every angle. And the true muscle will be an untapped resource because it haven't lived in its nature. If you don't work a muscle, the muscle becomes flabby. If you don't, the man is the muscle. If you don't work the muscle becomes weak. I was talking to my wife about this show, right? And I was telling her, let me show you this real quick. I was telling to my wife about the show, right? You know what I mean? These are the people that's been on the front line in the past 5 years that everybody has seen. You haven't seen no men. What you have seen is the images of the emasculation preparation, and you've seen women out front. That's all you've seen in the past 5 years. You hear what I say? That's all you've seen in the past 5 years. You've seen women put out front and men emasculated. You hear what I say? And that is by design. That is by design. That's not by happenstance. That is by design. These images are by design. These images are by design. It's not by happenstance. And they're going to keep on pushing them. In closing, let me share this with you, right? I was talking to my wife about the show, right? And like it's so unfortunate that women, not my wife, but women in general, think they got to compete with men. And this is not a competition for men to compete with women. This is about men taking a rightful place in the affairs of men. This is about men taking a rightful place. Like, we need to unblur the lines, and men need to know what place that they're supposed to take. So I was using an analogy about lions, right? And I was telling my wife, I was like, you know, in a lion's pride, right? You have the lioness that would hunt for the food. You also have the lioness that take care of the babies as well as defend the pride if necessary at all costs. But what holds the pride together is the threat of the male lion. That's what holds the pride together. If a young lion comes out of the Serengeti and decides he wants to breed, that young lion have to knock off that male lion who runs the pride. Now, he don't really run the pride because, as I said, the lioness is the one that provides the food. The lioness is the one that instructs the children into hunting. The lioness is the one that is really nurturing the pride. However, all the protection of the pride, even though the lioness may fight, all of the protection of the pride is depending upon the muscle and the mane of the male. And for the pride to fall, that male lion must be neutralized. Once that male lion is neutralized, then the invader can come in and kill the babies, the cubs, and then plant his seed into all the females. And then they start on a new journey while the male is in exile. And that's what happened to us as a people. The man, the protector, the provider, the resourceful one, is now in exile. The vagabond has come in and put his seed in the hearts and minds of sisters. He put his seed, thought. Seed is a thought. He put his seed in the hearts and minds of our women. And now the women for years say, I don't need a man. The women for years was the provider for Jody. You know Jody, baby boy, grown men with mustaches. Today, the vagabond lion are now providing resources. This is why you will see sisters on the front line and Hollywoodizing the experience of liberation. Because the male lion has been exiled. The man or the male is not there. He's not there. He's not there. And until that lion get himself together, until that lion get itself together, that lioness is going to be doing her own thing when they're supposed to be doing it together. When they're supposed to be doing it together. So the next time you see a sister who is married, who has a boyfriend or a significant other, and she's on the front line and it's a friend of yours and you don't see her significant other, sis, where your husband at? Her husband may be emasculated. That don't mean that he has on a dress. He may be emasculated in the mind. That don't mean he got on a dress, because it's a mental thing. See, back in the 70s, that was where the seeds was planted. Back in the 80s, it was planted through entertainment. And now you got the results from that. So family, I see you tomorrow night. I got another show. Somebody say, what's a front line? A front line may say, what's a front line? A front line is if you're marching and you're leading a march or you're leading a protest against opposition, that could ultimately injure or harm you, and the one that love you is not there to defend you or protect you, then you shouldn't be there. That's what the front line is. One who's out front. One who's out front, right in front of the oppressor. You should be out there, if you or anybody else, should be out there with your husband. Should be out there with the one who loves you. Should never be out there by yourself. This is how the European in that Trump rally picked that sister up, and she was only walking home. She was only walking home. You follow me? Let me see something real quick. The European has decided. Let me see if I can bring it up. Right there. See that in the background? See that? This is the sister right there. Now, she was getting sprayed with pepper mace. At a Trump rally. However, the European was pulling her out so she wouldn't get killed. So the European made news for saving the sister. Look at the imagery. It looks like he's hurting the sister. In fact, he was saving the sister. Look at the imagery. Where is the man from our community? Where is he? He's right beneath, wearing a skirt. Talking about killing each other. On a rap song. Look at that. White media choose what it wants to see. Our people need to choose to see with each other. So that's just what it is. I just wanted to give you some food for thought. Let's stop wasting our time on goofiness. It's all right to have fun sometime, but don't get emotionally attached. Don't be emotionally attached to social media. If it can't teach you nothing, leave it alone. It's okay to be entertained and taught at the same time. But if it can't teach you nothing, leave it alone. Keep it moving. We should never entertain buffoonery. We should never entertain that. And let me tell you something. Just because something does not work for you, it doesn't mean that it doesn't help somebody else. Live and let live. If it ain't for you, let it go. Somebody mentioned Tommy Sotomayor. You know what I'm saying? Somebody mentioned Tommy Sotomayor earlier. I think it was my wife or whatever. Mentioned Tommy Sotomayor. This man living the hell that you don't want to live. Just because somebody running their mouth, just because someone seemed to be having a good time, talking crazy about other people, they live their life in perpetual fear. And I seen fear in Tommy Sotomayor's eyes when we were at an event, and my brother who was in the chat earlier, and all of them ran down on Tommy. He was in perpetual fear. You can't go nowhere. Or you can, but you're intimidated, you're scared. If one is not living the life of a respected person, they living in perpetual fear. It's like me. More people respect me than those that disrespect me or dislike me. Wherever I go, I'm home. Watch me pop up. Watch me. Care what nobody say. Watch me pop up. Because I know that more people have been saved from my information. See what I'm saying? More people have been helped from my information than those who were damaged from my information. The ones that was damaged from my information, they needed to be damaged. They needed to be damaged because they was swindling people. They was scamming people. Those the only one that was damaged from my information. The swindler and the scammers. But the information that I put out helped more and saved more lives than I can count. So family, love each other just a little more. And everything ain't for everybody. You know what I'm saying? Everything ain't for everybody. Everything ain't for everybody. But what's yours is yours. And with that being said, I see y'all tomorrow. I'm at my brother Dr. Hassan in the building, and we're going to examine and talk about all this stuff tomorrow. Peace and love, family. Thank you for joining me. It's going to get better and better and better, but let's see how this go. Everybody hit the thumbs up out the door. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This has been a tough show to put out because I know people are sensitive, but nevertheless, it's something that have to be talked about in our community, and we need to get our men to stand up and come forth and take their place in the affairs of men. Let's go.
I be that more you gon' remember. I'ma be that more you gon' remember. I be that more you gon' remember. To Harker Bay front line till the law call my number. I be that more you gon' remember. I'ma be that more you gon' remember. That's right. I be that more you gon' remember. To Harker Bay front line till the law call my number. You a friend of the Moors, then you a friend of mine. I was told to watch my enemies, now hold my line. Those that speak against the prophet, they speak against me. And I'm speaking about the prophet over Drew Ali, who was the first to remind you and bind you back to Morocco, the mountains, Mississippi, and Quebec. Told you you wasn't black, proved it with straight facts. You tripping off trucks, you need to be tripping off that. Now here we go again, acting like you a slave. Family, see y'all tonight, 9:30. Let's go. I be that more you gon' remember. I'ma be that more you gon' remember. I be that more you gon' remember. To Harker Bay front line till the law